Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all. Welcome back to the first lesson that we're going to learn in Tableau snippet. I've already logged into our list here. I think that I just came back here. Let me just re-log into the profile again. And when you're working on Tableau, again, I will show you the differences between the Tableaus here. So I want to show the variances of the data, because here you cannot see a lot of things very clearly. But I will build our first dashboard in Tableau Public, but I will also build them in a Professional Edition. For our learning purposes, I'm opening our Professional Edition so that I can show you the screens a little better. But I will build them in the Public Edition also. Let me just minimize this. I'll open our latest version of Tableau. It is 2023.2 here. So now it's a new edition that I'm adding right now, so everything will be fresh here. So I'm going to create a particular calculation or a particular dashboard which allows me to calculate the bonus calculation for a set of employees here. So this is the data that I have here with me. Let's take the source of data. Let me go back to our data set, and then I'm going to take the data set from our list here. So this is the data set that I have, and this is an office data where a sales representative sells stationery products here. And I opened this as a CSV file in Excel for you. It's not a very big data. It is just 44 total line items, including your header. So 43 line items of data that I have here. Now, my agenda in here is to calculate a sales turnover based bonus calculation by a region and a sales rep. There is one thumb rule here. I cannot give this bonus 2 times for a same employee. That is an agenda that I keep in my mind. I'm going to work on this data to get it done. So let's open our Tableau edition here. So I've already opened our Tableau edition here. And as I'm bringing in a text and CSV file, and we don't have a CSV file connector separately, so a text file connector will allow me to get the CSV file also. So this is the first screen of our Tableau Professional Edition here. Again, the Public Edition will be a little different here. Again, the methodology of connecting data set will all remain same in both the dimension. So I'm going to go back to my text file here, and then when I pick up the data set, I'll go back to our data set that I have here, office supply.csv. When I open this data, automatically our screen will take you to the next level. This is what we call it as data source view. This is a Professional Edition, so you see a lot more here. So you see a Professional Edition which has information on this. And again, the Public Edition, Professional Edition won't have a bigger difference when you see it as a data. So once data gets into the data set, it still remains same. So now I break this into multiple points, so you can see at the bottom what are the fields that I have here and how it is data typed here. So when I go back to the data type here, you can see the following data types that I have here: number decimals, number whole, date and time, date, string, spatial files, and Boolean. And then we can even set a geographical fold if I'm bringing in a geographical data set in analyst here. In our program, we will see a separate a video or maybe a small lesson that contains a geographical rule to be played better. And then we can even set a image role based either on a URL or a non data set here. So this is the data set that I have here, and I have 42 data set line items. Again, I could have given a calculated field in the data set here, but unfortunately I've created all this already in my data system. So I'm not talking about a calculated field in this particular video, but we will see how to create a calculated field as we go forward in our subsequent videos here. When I go back to my sheet 1, you will see all my data set. Again, this is the place where I will create my first leg of data set. So I'm going to create 2 different sheets here. So when I go for a Tableau desktop, so I break the Tableau desktop into 3 different arrays of workout, or the 3 canvas that we have to work here. One is a worksheet. That's what I call it as sheets. Another one is a dashboard. Multiple sheets can be put as a dashboard, and a storyboard, which allows you to bring all the dashboards into one storyboard. We are not going to go for storyboard in this video. We are planning to do create two different worksheets with the data set here. So now how long will it take for us to build a transaction here? So I don't have a timer here, but it will take under 30 seconds for us to do it, a maximum minute. My agenda for the data set is I want to create a region-wise sales representatives. Unit sales is what? So I'll drag the region to my columns, and I'll drag the sales rep to my rows, again the column, and then I'll drag the units to the list here. I got my list, and I'm going to sort the data set. Yeah, I got the data set ready. Voila, my result is ready for me. Now I can improvise this furthermore and do whatever I want to do with it. But again, I just started creating a dashboard directly, but I cannot just let it do that. So I need to understand what are these components are. And when I drag down certain fields, it is green in color, certain fields are in blue in color. I'll call this green color and blue color at two different dimensions here. So now when I go back to the green color point, I'll call this as measures. Any numerical field, I can call it as a measure. Any text fields can be called as dimensions here. You can convert a measure into a dimension, or you can convert a dimension into a measure. So whatever you want to do with it, you can do it. You can, if you drag and drop it on top also, it will automatically become the other way around. Now this is called as measure, this is called as dimension. So I use the dimension in my column, and measures in the rows here for our easy readability. And you can see at the middle, you can see a pages, you can see filter, you can see marks. This is what we will use a lot. This is what will make our data dimension look so beautiful and wonderful here. Tableau builds the data very nicely, and the colorations and the interface will be far, far better than any other BI tool that is available in the world today. That's what is my opinion is all about. If you have another opinion, please comment me on this particular video so that we can discuss about it, and which particular application which does that beautifully. I can see that, I can learn that too. I saw recently another software called Domo, and then even that is, again, when I saw Domo, I literally go back to my times where I learned Alteryx. So for my student, I just started downloading Alteryx and show how the Alteryx works for him. It typically looked like a Domo, and the Domo was far better tool, I think so, compared to Alteryx here. So let's go back to our data set again and drag the region first. You can put them anything that you want in a particular list, and then put the data set here. I'm sorting it, and then I want the data set in numbers, so I'm going to put the data set in this. So now I know that in the list. So now I'm going to rename the sheet here. So I'll rename the sheet here called bonus by units. Sorry. And you can see that Alex and Richard and James will get the bonus for the unit sales here. Now I want to add another worksheet. So you can see the bottom also, you can add a worksheet, or you can go to the worksheet on top and add a worksheet here, or use a Control M to create a new worksheet. I'm going to use the mouse over here and then drag the region again, the rep again, and this time I'm going to bring the sales turnover into play. As usual, I'm going to start them up and then bring the sales turnover on top of my label. And this time around, I'm getting Matthew, Susan, but I'm getting James twice here. So let me just rename the sheet again. I'll call this as bonus by turnover. So now I want to see how this is going to work better. I want to differentiate this differently because both the dimension are coming in the same color. I don't want the colors to be the same. So I want to make that look a little different here. So I'll just come back to my colors here on the marks, and then I can pick up a color that I want to change here. So I'm changing it to a green here because I used the blue already. Need a green, and then I'm going to create a dashboard. Right now I'm going to go back to the dashboard menu on top, a new dashboard. That's going to show my data set here. I'm going to drag the units, and then I'm going to drag the bonus by sales here. I'm going to make both the units into a standard dimension here, so that it will become smaller. And again, I cannot work this directly, so I'm going to go back to my dashboard and I'm going to export that as an image here. I'll put the data in the desktop to a Tableau list here. So when I add this to the desktop, so now I got the list here. When I minimize this, when I open the dashboard here, you can see both the dimension better. And I could have kept this as an entire view. Let me just rename this or convert this into an entire view again, because that way the screen will become completely occupied, because I couldn't able to see both of them in one screen. That's why I just made that into a smaller one. So let me just export this as an image. And then I'm going to rename that, or I'm going to replace the same data set again, the same list here. Now when I open it, now I know this. Again, I told you when I started this particular data set, the agenda is I cannot give the bonus for the same person 2 times. If you see in the West zone, James is getting the bonus in both dimension by the unit sales and as well as by turnover. So I had to pick which one is best. So I'm going to pick the turnover bonus to be given to the next person, not James. I'll take Thomas here. But the other dimensions are doing justice here because the unit sales is done better by Richard in Eastern region, where Susan is taken care by the turnover. And in the Central region, Matthew gets the turnover and Alex gets by the units here. So this simple is what we are going to create a dashboard in Tableau here. So let me just, don't save this. Let me use the public edition right now to create the same visualization again. So I'm going to go back to the create viz here. And then I'll ask you a question. So what is your data or where the data comes from? I'm going to upload the data from the computers here. So now I go back to my desktop, data sources, basics, pick up the office supply here. Open. And automatically it shows you the data set here. You can see the same thing that whatever I showed you earlier, same logic comes into play. Again, here I'll be updating the data automatically to see the data set here. Other than that, the rest of them are same here. I go back to my sheets. It will be a little longer than normal because I am trying to build this data set one by one. So the access point will be a little slower compared to the desktop edition because I'm doing a web edition here. So the logic we already know. So I'm going to drag both of them into the columns, units to the rows here, and then sort them up. Add the units to the labeling here so that I know the number of the units that I made. Now I'm going to make this as units. So I'm not going to give the sum complete dimension because we are already done that before. Now I'm going to call that as sales. So you can do whatever way that you want to do it. I'm going to bring this dimension again. And then sort it. Bring the sales turnover on top. This time I'm going to change the color to a much darker color. So I'm going to make a red or maybe a brown or a red here. I'll make a red here. And you can go back to the dashboard. You can see I can create a new dashboard here. So I'm going to bring the units on top. And then the sales below. But one disadvantage that I have here is I cannot export my data set to an image here. So I'm going to publish this to my Tableau public. So I'm going to publish this and then I'll ask you a question. So I'm going to just say, now you can access this data. So if you are following me in this particular link, you can access this data set for me. And I'm going to say first dashboard on bonus calculation. So now I published it. So now you will get the bonus calculation sheet in here. And I want to go back to the dashboard again. So I'm going to close the window here. That will take me to my first dashboard and I'm going to go to my profile. And now I can see that I've created a dashboard here. And if you want to make this as a featured one, I can add a featured one. Again, I can add only one featured data set here. I cannot add all of them. At the moment, I'm keeping this as a featured one. As we go forward, my featured one will change for a new visualization creation here. And this is how we will create our first logic on how to create a bar chart to find out the annual bonus here. I used a CSV file to connect it. I've gone to the Tableau nav screens. I showed you the professional edition and the public edition here. I didn't create a calculated field here because the dataset already has all those components to me. I changed the colors here. I added the labels here. I didn't touch the formatting because I felt that the data is okay. Then I exported the dashboard, not the worksheet here. You can also export the worksheet if you wanted to. But in that particular component is not available for us when you are working on a public edition. Let me just see whether we do have an export option in my worksheet. Let me just go back to the data set here. And then I can go to the edit menu here, which allows me to edit how I can see that exact data set here. Let me go back to my worksheet. And in the worksheet, no, I don't have it. I'm not able to export this data set to another data set. So I'm not able to I don't have this. It's okay. So you can use that 14-day relation. Once you learn all this, if you want to try everything in one shot, then probably your dataset will allow you to do that. So you can download a 14-day trial in Tableau edition, and then you can start working on those components better. This is Vinod signing out from iSelf Academy YouTube channel plus Tableau snippet channel. Next video, we will see how to work with time series, aggregate, measure, and granularity, and how to create a small filter option. How we can show a filter data set. We're going to see all of them in our next video. Continue learning it. So this videos will be updated immediately. So when you see the first video, you see all the other videos. At least 12 more videos will be added to the list here from the introduction part. So don't worry about it. You can learn it completely because I'm adding all this videos one after the other one on the same day itself. When you are started using this first class, you will see 12 videos all together here. You can pick up whatever data that you want to pick first. So I have 8 topics. The total video number will be 12 here for us. This is Vinod signing off for Tableau Snippet and iSelf Academy YouTube channel. Welcome to Tableau Learning. Happy analyzing. Thank you so much.